This is big breaking news. Governments are getting ready for something big, and they are now even warning us that, quote, a dystopian future is coming. That's what governments are now warning, and this is very serious, and we need to get prepared. And it's one of these things. You need to be getting off grid. You need to be growing food. You need to be becoming more sustainable because it's getting closer every day, guys. I can feel it. I'm sure you can all feel it. And tensions and things are bubbling up. And now top government officials are warning of a, quote, dystopian future, right? They know what's coming next. They are preparing for a massive collapse. And when that happens, there's going to be chaos within society, right? There's going to be riots. There's going to be looting. We've already seen, I've been reporting on it the past couple months, of how people are rioting and looting through cities all throughout the US, right? In Buffalo, New York, there was a massive snowstorm. We remember that a couple months ago. There was massive power outages, rolling blackouts all throughout the country, tens of millions of people without power and under these rolling blackouts. It truly was a dystopian Christmas. And on top of that, people were looting all the stores in Buffalo as well in the middle of an emergency when people were stranded. People were not surviving, not making it. And some people's top priority was to loot these stores, loot TVs, steal whatever they can. This is what we're heading towards, and we're getting closer, and things are getting dangerous, and you need to get out of the cities because they're warning that a, quote, dystopian future is coming. How many more top leaders and top individuals do we need warning that something big is coming? Because they're being told the plan, all right? They're in on these meetings, they're talking to each other, they go to all these top groups, and they're in on the plan. They know what's coming next, and sometimes it just comes out, all right? They're just talking and they're saying, hey, this dystopian future is coming. Like, they see it. You know what I mean? They see what's coming. And some of them, subconsciously, they don't want to live in this. They know it's dystopian. And what are they going to do? They're going to say they're part of this massive agenda to collapse society, or is it just going to come out subtly? All right. So let's dive into what this top government official is saying and warning us. And it's something huge. This is society collapsing events that they're talking about now. And just a few years ago, these events were very obscure. If you were talking about this, people thought you were crazy, but now top government officials are warning of this constantly. So you can see here, government releases exercises to combat, quote, dystopian future of critical infrastructure attacks. This is what I've been warning for months and months and months. I actually made a video last year before my channel even popped off or anything. Before 99% of you ever saw my face, I made a video talking about how Biden himself was warning that cyber attacks are going to hit the United States and they're going to get a lot worse. And now things are escalating to a point where we're getting these warnings constantly and we're getting these cyber attacks constantly. All right, there's already a massive city, Oakland, California, in the United States that has been under a cyber attack for 2 months. Over 2 months, this has been happening in Oakland, California, and it's been disrupting major services there for months now. This is one of the biggest cities in California, and at one point, their emergency services weren't working. You couldn't call the government, you couldn't pay your bills, you couldn't access any of their services because they were locked out of them. This is what they want nationwide. They are doing dry run after dry run. They are getting prepared for something big. And imagine, okay, Oakland is able to absorb this because there are tons of other cities and communities around it that can fill in the gaps. But imagine if a massive cyber attack hits multiple cities or hits a nationwide system. It would cause chaos. It would cause a dystopian that the government is even warning of now. All right, this happened a few months ago. Thousands of ships were cyber attacked, their IT systems and their navigation systems, and they were not able to navigate and figure out where they are and to get their shipments. Thousands of ships that all use this one type of navigation system, and it was cyber attacked and taken offline, and thousands of ships were stranded. And this happened just a couple months ago. They're doing dry run after dry run. This is what they do. They do these tests to get us ready for the big one. So when the big one happens, they already know how everyone's going to react. They know how the plan's going to go. So we need to be getting prepared. You need to get a generator. You need to get some kind of solar. Have both. It's best to have both so you have options. And look into ways to protect these things in the event of a EMP. All right, we could have a EMP-like event as well, target our critical infrastructure, and that could wipe out all electronics in the area. Okay, so even your generator, your solar could be completely fried from this EMP attack that could happen. So have multiple systems, have backup systems, look into ways to protect your critical goods, right? Hide them in a basement, hide them underground, cover them in another layer of metal to absorb the electromagnetic radiation, so it acts as essentially a cage around it, right? So you need to be getting this stuff now. Top government officials are warning that a dystopian future could target our critical infrastructure, and we could have attacks on our critical infrastructure. So let's dive into what they're saying here, and I will also talk about what is coming next and how they are preparing for massive collapse and riots, civil unrest as a result of these critical infrastructures collapsing. All right, so let's get into it here. You can see here, this was a warning out of Australia from a top government official. And this is essentially like the DHS in Australia or a similar organization, the NSA in Australia. And the head of that is warning that they need to prepare for a, quote, dystopian future. The U.S. is also preparing for massive attacks to their critical infrastructure. You can see right here, U.S. national cybersecurity distress, Biden push on regulation. The White House wants to expand requirements for private companies that operate in critical infrastructure sectors. They're worried about attacks on our agriculture, attacks on our grid, attacks on our banking system, our financial system. That is what this report is warning of. I actually covered this a few months ago, and now Australia is coming out and saying the same thing and preparing for the same thing, but they are giving an even bigger warning, saying to prepare for a dystopian future. All right. So they said here that Australia must prepare for a, quote, dystopian future in which threat actors and organizations will hold entire digitally connected cities to ransom. Quote, our interconnected cities are held hostage through interference in everything from traffic lights to surgery schedules, she said in a speech in Australia. All right, so this could affect every aspect of life. In cities like Oakland, California, in the U.S., this is already affecting them. And there are countless colleges and schools being targeted and shut down as well. There are hospitals all over the U.S. Every single time I'm looking into this news, I always see multiple hospitals that are under a cyber attack as well. And they're even warning that their surgery schedules, all these things, traffic lights, every single thing in our society is now connected to the internet. It's all become smart grid, smart technology, all this stuff, but it also traps us and keeps us enslaved in this system where they can flip the switch at any moment and turn off all of these systems, all right? This is what they're preparing for, a massive switch to be flipped so they could reset the internet, reset the grid, and come back with a new system where it's all controlled. You have internet IDs, you have all your grid is tracked and traced through smart meters and controlled and metered, all right? So you can only use a certain amount of electricity per day or a certain amount of energy. This is what they're setting up to collapse it and then bring it back with a ton of more control, a ton more regulation to prevent the cyber attack. And these cyber attacks are real threats, but they are also using it as an excuse to take over the energy grids, all right, to take over all of these critical infrastructures. And they are also warning that our satellites are at risk as well. There are new reports that satellite weapons are being developed with electromagnetic weapons on them to take out satellites, take out planes, take out drones, and they are microwave weapons, high-powered frequency weapons that are being unleashed. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because they use these high-powered frequency weapons in riot and civil unrest scenarios as well. This is a real weapon that they use, and it's a microwave beam that they can aim at groups of people, and it starts to fry and burn their skin, bare minimum. And I like the thing here, pain without injury. Pain without injury. This seems like their motto for everything. They inflict just enough pain that nobody reacts, and they just do it over and over. They're constantly inflicting pain, constantly inching forward, so nobody really reacts. It's not a real injury, but they are making progress, incrementalism every single day, every single time with these events that keep happening throughout the world. And now they're preparing for a societal collapse, and this is one of the weapons they will use on the population, and they are already using high-powered frequency weapons as well. Do you remember this Havana syndrome? All right, do you remember this? They are even admitting that it could be the result of electromagnetic weapons. All right, what is this? This is a microwave weapon, and electromagnetic frequency microwaves are, and they openly use it on the American people. And this is just a declassified weapon that they have, that they say they use during civil unrest. Think of the weapons that are constantly being used and unleashed that are invisible on the American people as well. And even the FAA came out a few months ago and said that planes need to have upgraded protection to protect them from 5G frequency interference, because it is messing with all of their equipment, their very sensitive equipment that's on the plane, and the 5G is interacting with it and disrupting it. And the FAA is even coming out and saying that it's so powerful that planes need to have new shielding technology to shield them from these high-powered frequencies. I'm just putting it out there that all these things are here. These towers are already here. All these 5G towers are here. And they have microwave weapons, electromagnetic weapons. What if they are able to use these towers in a civil unrest scenario? And what about all the suspicious FEMA camps that have been built all over the country the past decade or two? All over the place, these massive camps that have been built for disasters, and they've never been used. They've never been accessed. What are they really planning, and what are they waiting to unleash on the public? And what's coming next is civil unrest, the collapse of these critical infrastructures that we need to survive. And when that happens, people are going to be fleeing the cities. People are going to be panicking. The cities are going to have a very low survival rate. So make sure you guys are getting prepared. Make sure you are getting out of the cities. Make sure you are learning how to grow food. Make sure you are able to protect yourself, defend your family, all right? All of these things are becoming more critical every single day. I'm feeling it too. I'm heading full steam ahead to be completely off-grid. We're buying land. We are developing it. This is our goal now. We will be doing this next month. And this is the way to win. It is to opt out of the system, all right? The fighting, there's no way to win this fight. That's what it feels like to me, at least. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like the best option is to opt out of this system right now, because the collapse is getting closer and I want to survive. My number one goal for my family is survival and thriving, actually. So if you want to thrive, you want to make it through these situations, I believe the best scenario is opt out. Get your own land out in the country, unrestricted, no codes, build your own property, get your own chickens, get goats, get cows, grow your own food. This is the best way to resist this system, because they want us to fight. They want us to just off each other, all right? They would love that for all of us just to get rid of each other, all right? That's what they want. But if we opt out and we just say, hey, I'm not a part of this, I'm a free human who is going to be unrestricted, and I'm going to grow my own food, have my own water, do my own thing, and I believe in freedom. I don't believe in all this other BS. I believe that's the best way to go, right? And that's the way I'm going. That's the way I've always been, because you don't want to be in these cities fighting over pittance of breadcrumbs that they're giving out. And the way they give it out is you have to come in their camp. You have to come in their camp and say, hey, we'll give you some bread, or you have to do this stuff. You have to take these things, put these things in you or whatever to get any food, to get any rations, to get any water, to get shelter. This is how it's going to be. And you're going to have to give up your rights, your freedom to even survive in these collapse scenarios if you aren't able to be sustainable and provide for yourself. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're getting prepared. It's urgent, guys. Every single day, you need to be working towards it. We are going to be completely off-grid next month, and we're going to be building our homestead, and I'm going to be keeping you guys updated on everything to get you inspired to move in the same direction, right? This is the way to survive, is to opt out, is to be off-grid, and to have your own sustainability, not dependent on the government or outside sources. So thank you guys so much. I'm super blessed to have you watching, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.